Oh, well, I don't know what to say about this weekend for Atlanta sports. Whether it's the Atlanta Falcons, the Georgia Hawks, or um, just the state of Georgia sports in its entirety, man. The night was just absolutely today or yesterday. Shit. I don't know what to say, man. This is one of those years for me, for the Atlanta Falcons, man. Just throw all this shit in the trash, man. Um, have one of the most frustrating games I've ever seen. Oh my gosh. This is one of the most frustrating offensive games that I've seen in a long time. And for the first time, and I can't say for the first time, but I'm more frustrated with the lack of creativity. Not even lack of creativity, it's the lack of just common sense. I saw yesterday with Steve Sarkeesian, a guy that was auditioning for a college job. All right, people. I didn't see a guy that lacked imagination. I didn't see a guy that didn't know what he. From what I saw, man, I saw a guy, Steve Sarkeesian, that was already thinking about college football. All of his calls, his play calling, was elementary, that of a college head coach. I saw a guy that was just completely. I can't even say it was overmatched, man. It was a point in the game where they highlighted that Matt Ryan, had a play call in, and the Baltimore Ravens, you know, they kind of gave him different multiple looks, and instead of running the play, he knew wasn't going to work. He backed out and called a timeout, and that calls for me. That tells me as a quarterback and an offensive coordinator, your shit is generic. One thing about Kyle Shanahan and any other offensive coordinator that's been in the NFL, when you have a play, when you have plays, you kind of know what to do and what to audible to in a certain situation. And Matt Ryan and that offense was in a no-win situation. This is in the first fucking quarter, okay? This is the first fucking quarter where you see this. This is the first freaking quarter. I haven't seen it yet, Blackshear. I haven't heard it just yet, but this is absolutely just all on Steve Sarkeesian. And I'm not going to get on the defense just yet. So I want to give you guys three things that stood out to me real quick. And the first one is obviously the offensive coordinator and his mentality and what he's thinking. I saw a guy that was ready to just go to the college ranks, man. He was auditioning, ultimately, using the Atlanta Falcons as his sacrificial lamb, if you will. His model of, success, if you will. Second thing that stood out to me is the offensive line. Um, I'm not really gonna bash these guys because again, man, we working with two offensive guards that are backups, and tackling Ryan Schrader. I don't know what the hell he's up to. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if this dude is depressed. I don't know if this guy have anything. I don't know what the hell's going on with um, Ryan Schrader. All right, offensive line is the offensive line right now. I mean, I expect what I expect from them. And I know you guys checked out Lieutenant Dan. He kind of, went into it early in his live. But stay tuned tonight. I will be on with Lieutenant Dan. Um, we're pretty much going over the recap, so I'm not going to get too deep into what I think about the game, but I will, say the offensive line, man. I'm not really, surprised with these guys. But the second key, thing that stood out to me is obviously this Tevin Coleman. Lieutenant Dan and I have kind of, different opinions of tonight. It will be around 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. So, first key, obviously for me, was Steve Sarkeesian. I think he's already headed out of college. I mean, Falcons, they're definitely going to make a scheme change on the offensive side of the ball. According to many, Dan Quinn has pretty much stated that already. And the second one is offense, Tevin Coleman. He's like averaging 1.3 yards after contact. And for a running back, a guy like that as a running back, to be averaging that low, that is the bottom of the league. This guy's 230 pounds, okay? 230 pounds for you to be, to get, have the lowest, yards after contact. That's pretty damn bad. That means the first guy that hits you, you go down pretty much every time. That can't happen as a running back. I don't care how small, how big you are. That absolutely cannot happen, man. And the third one for me is the defensive line. And I'm going to point out and I'm going to single out one person. One person on that defensive line that I'm absolutely disgusted by. And I don't say this much, and it's not Robert Alford, but I am so disgusted in this one person. And I have no fucking idea why this guy is on this team. All right, this is one of the few stats, the posts, players. This is one of the few videos where I'm going to be completely and utterly negative on this guy. Because I've seen absolutely no reason why he should be on this fucking team, why he is on a team, and why the Falcons paid him so much. I mean, if that was the case, this guy should have been, released a long time ago. Michael Bennett, a guy that I thought who could have played, been some type of, asset to the Atlanta Falcons defensive line. And that is Terrell McClain. Terrell McClain, bro. Like, what the hell is this guy good for? What is this guy good for? This guy's he's the biggest defensive lineman the Falcons have. And he's getting pushed around not with just one offensive guard, okay? Okay? He's getting pushed around by one offensive lineman. You're a defensive tackle. You should never, ever lose one-on-one. Consistently, you lose one-on-ones against offensive linemen. That should never happen, okay? Ever. That should never happen. And we're seeing this with Terrell McClain. And I am absolutely disgusted to see how many snaps this guy gets. He doesn't deserve snaps. I mean, Dean Sinat is doing a wonderful job. He's doing a wonderful job. And he's getting less snaps. This guy needs snaps. And the guy, not even Terrell McClain, but Isaiah Oliver, he needs snaps. Because the other guy in 23, the guy who just loves penalties, Robert Alford, yeah. That guy, Robert Alford, needs to be gone. He will be gone, in my opinion, in the offseason. You can't continue to pay this guy this much money, for this many penalties and lack of play. This guy's been absolutely terrible this year, man. But guys, man, those are the three things that stood out to me is Steve Sarkeesian. It feels like he's already headed out of the door. And quite frankly, the way that he coached and called the game yesterday, his ass is already gone. Okay. Two was definitely let me say this. I want to say Tevin Coleman, and I'm going to stick with Tevin Coleman. But Steve Sarkeesian, Tevin Coleman, and Terrell McClain, those guys absolutely have to go. And I was a huge supporter of Steve Sarkeesian in the first, half, couple of games. The first 7 to 8 games, he was doing well, but he's right back to exactly where he were before. So I'm with y'all, man. I don't know. You have to fire. You have to get rid of Steve Sarkeesian at this point. He's not making the necessary adjustments and is absolutely killing the Atlanta Falcons offense. This offensive line are bad, but they're not this bad. The play calling, the lack of imagination, running the same exact plays over and over and over again, that shows a lack of imagination. That shows a coach that has no idea what he's doing. He has no idea how to combat the blitz because the Falcons are getting blitzed by every single team, every single play. And that goes back to the play calling. If you don't make the right adjustment in the play calling, if you don't utilize the players to the best of their ability, and where are the outside? I mean, you're using outside zone scheme with Tevin Coleman, fine, okay, but Tevin Coleman is much more of a threat when he is used as a play caller. But as a receiver. When you use him as a receiver, the Falcons are much more of a dangerous offense. You're not using Ito Smith as a play caller. You're not using Ito Smith as a runner. These guys have hands. These guys can get open as a receiver. Use these guys to the best of your ability. I go back to the New Orleans Saints. I go to the New England Patriots where they use their running backs as wide receivers to combat blitzes. And Steve Sarkeesian, he just doesn't understand that. He just doesn't get that, man. And I don't. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. We've seen it over and over again. If teams are blitzing, okay, split your running backs out and get these guys, these linebackers out, in coverage. They can't cover Tevin Coleman in the open field. This guy has blazing speed, and you not seeing Steve Sarkeesian use it. So he's not using these guys to the best of their ability, to their strengths, and it's frustrating. And I know a lot of guys are saying, I'm seeing a lot of comments for one specific offensive coordinator that is saying that he wants to come back. And that's Gary Kubiak. And Gary Kubiak or Greg Knapp, those guys have a great idea of what it takes to make this offense successful. It's a West Coast style offense, a style that Kyle Shanahan, models after Gary Kubiak and his father, Mike Shanahan. These guys are Super Bowl winning teams. So those guys know exactly how. And I want to say that Greg Knapp is a coach that has never had the opportunity to have a quarterback like a Matt Ryan, to have a players like Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman, Julio Jones as talent. He's never had that as an offensive coordinator. So people, at play calling and whatnot. Well, Greg Knapp never had a Julio Jones. He never had a quarterback like a Matt Ryan. So he played. He coached here when Michael Vick was a player. All right, he was the offensive coordinator here. So he's never had a true quarterback. He doesn't have to babysit. So Greg Knapp, Greg Kubiak is two guys that I have immediately that can step in and be the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons because clearly they need that. They definitely need that. When it all comes to, man, the Sark experiment is pretty much over, man. We all know that defensive coordinators love to just focus on their defense, and I think Dan Quinn would go back there and he would get a guy that is experienced in uh, offensive, is an experienced coach for the most part, play calling and whatnot, Greg Knapp, and we cannot. It really is ironic that you know during the off season everyone is you know fire Sark, fire Sark. All right. Even the first year, everybody wanted Sark gone. Lack of imagination with this offense, I get it. And Dan Quinn hired Greg Knapp, a guy that knows the system, a guy that has been the offensive coordinator, and a guy, that is in need of the opportunity of having a pretty good damn offense, a quarterback. He's never had that. So I think Greg Knapp can be that guy. If you can't get a Gary Kubiak to come to Atlanta, he definitely can be that, man. He definitely can be that. So I'm expecting a move on the offensive side of the ball. Gary Kubiak, whether it's Gary Kubiak or Greg Knapp, I think the Falcons would definitely use or go after one of those guys because I just don't see Steve Sarkeesian being the offensive coordinator. This experiment as offensive coordinator has been absolutely atrocious, man. It's been that damn bad. So I guess I'll just get back to, seeing what you guys saying in the chat, man. Yeah, you guys have pretty much stated everything that I stated. Who in charge of timeouts? Cause holding the ball. Blah, 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 blah. Jay Holland. Dan Quinn is involved. He pretty much is in charge of timeouts and whatnot. Time management is, it was irrelevant in this game for me, man. I'm not worried about timeouts and whatnot. I'm more so focused on his play calling, lack of play calling with this team, man. These guys couldn't get off the field. They couldn't get off the field, but the defense didn't play bad. I think they played pretty damn good with Deion Jones coming back. We saw exactly, these guys, they played with passion, they played with effort, they had a little extra boost when Deion Jones was back. He's a guy, he made tackles that, Duke Riley, 4-year-old Olakun could not make. He was the leading tackler. So Deion Jones is that guy. I know a lot of people say, okay, Deion Jones is little, blah, 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 but this guy's a playmaker, all right? He's a playmaker. And he's going to continue to be a playmaker for this defense. He is exactly what Dan Quinn wants on this team. So, timeouts was like the least of my worries. Time management, I don't think time management mattered in a game where the offense can't stay on the field more than freaking, three. I mean, I don't know how many fucking 3-and-outs. It was at least 5 for the most part. But this team, it needs a job. It needs a change at offensive coordinator and a change and play calling because Steve Sarkeesian is not it, man. And Mike Siplin Jr., I don't know about Tevin Coleman. Yeah, I don't know about Tevin Coleman. I don't think he'll be back. If he does come back to the Atlanta Falcons, man, expect him to have a very team-friendly contract if he comes back to the Atlanta Falcons because his effort, again, man, when you lead in the league or you at the bottom of the league at yards at the contact for a running back at 230, nearly 230, 240 pounds, yeah, that's a freaking problem, man. So I don't expect him to be back. I expect to see Ito Smith, Devontae Freeman, in a running back, whether it be in free agency or in the drafts. I expect that next year, man. But Jordan Richards, I don't think Jordan Richards is trash. I think he's a backup. And I think, when we look at players, backup players, we expect those guys to fill a role, whether it's backup for, a couple of plays here and there for a guy that's injured or on special teams. But Jordan Richards was brought here to be a special team. He wasn't brought here to be a starter. So I'm not going to bash Jordan Richards. I think he's improved tremendously since he's been with the Atlanta Falcons. Brooks Reed is a guy that probably will go, but at the same time, I think again, Lieutenant Dan Patman, we have talked about this, and I think Brooks Reed will be back for defensive line depth. The Falcons desperately need depth on that defensive line, man, and Brooks Reed may come back. He has one more year left on his contract, and I don't think the Falcons will release him. I mean, it depends on how they attack free agency, but I don't think he'll be back. I don't think it's not out of the question to see him back next year with the Atlanta Falcons, man. The Falcons would trade out the top 5 for 2 first-round picks, Jeffrey Simmons and Montez Sweat. If the Falcons have a top 5 pick, I don't think there's a guy outside of Nick Bosa in this draft that you can take with the top 5 pick. I don't think the Falcons need a defensive end if they decide to, if they have a top 5 pick and, Vic Beasley is still on the roster during the draft, Nick Bosa may be the guy that they go after. He may just be the guy that they go after if Vic Beasley is gone from the roster. But even if he is on the roster and they take a Nick Bosa, that means either Bruce Irvin is a guy that may not be back, or Vic Beasley not be back. So I do not expect Nick Bosa to be a guy. But as of right now, we have to see how free agency goes. See who's cut, which coaches will be back and whatnot. But I expect the Falcons, if they have a top 5 pick, it wouldn't be out of the question to see those guys trade out of that position and get, again, yeah. Jarvis, I think that's a great idea. Trade out of the top pick, the top 5 pick, and, get an extra, extra first round pick and, a couple of 3s and 4s. So I think that's a brilliant idea. Falcons Z-Man, I think, we expect a lot of turnaround on this Falcons defense. This is going to be an interesting offseason for this Atlanta Falcons squad. We will most likely see players that we like gone and players that we don't like gone. I expect a tremendous amount of turnaround, whether it's coaches, players, Dan Quinn, and Arthur Blank most importantly. All right, Arthur Blank does not like to lose. So I expect Arthur Blank to force these guys to either bring in a coach that knows what he's doing offensively and make moves in free agency and during the draft, get their players an impact player, whether it's on the offensive line or defensive line. They need offensive linemen that can do their freaking job and hold up. I expect it to be more so an offensive guard. Eventually, at some point in time, you will have to think about drafting Alex Mack's replacement. He's getting up in age. He's still a terrific center. But with those 2 guys, Wes Schweitzer, Zane Beadles, Ben Garland, those guys are just not doing him any favors right now. All right? Don't expect that to happen. I'm seeing some crazy stuff all over Twitter, man, all over Facebook, all over social media that we need to fire Dan Quinn. Well, Dan Quinn isn't going anywhere, all right? He's not going anywhere, so that shit can cease. And, you can get rid of all that crap. Dan Quinn would definitely, if things doesn't turn around, if Dan Quinn to take a more hands-on approach as the play calling for the defensive coordinator, play calling and whatnot, be more hands-on. Do not see that, expect that to be too much. Like I said, I expect some major changes this offseason, man. Marco Emmanuel, I like him as a young coach, but if Arthur Blank wants Dan Quinn to be more hands-on with the defense, expect him to take over as the play caller for on the defensive side of the ball, man. Greg Knapp or Gary Kubiak, Jarvis, I expect Greg Knapp to be one of the frontline guys to take over as offensive coordinator because I don't think Steve Sarkeesian will be back. I don't think he should be back. If you can get Gary Kubiak as offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, I think you can definitely expect him to be back. I expect Gary Kubiak to be in the question. Uh, I expect Gary Kubiak to be one of those guys that the Falcons talk to during the during the off season. Um, Kyle Shanahan, maybe. Oh no, we're not getting Kyle Shanahan. No, no, screw Kyle. All right, he's just as dumb as Steve Sarkeesian is. Okay, I just despise that guy. I despise. No, we're not gonna talk about Kyle Shanahan. Screw him. But Bruce Taylor, what's good, my man? The offensive line is whole. I was praying Matt Ryan doesn't get. Man, yesterday it was one of those games again. It was like looking at 2015, looking like 2014 when the offensive line was so terrible when they had, oh my gosh, Peter Kunz as center, Peter Kunz as guard, just Peter Kunz all over the damn place. All right, when we had what's the guy, Lamar Holmes. It reminds me of that season where Matt Ryan was just getting killed by everybody imaginable. The offensive line, I thought it got so bad, man, and I thought Matt Ryan was going to get hurt and hurt bad. That I expect them to make a a change at quarterback just to try to keep Matt Ryan healthy. All right, that guy was getting hit. He was taking some crazy shots. And that goes back to Matt Ryan, man. The tougher this guy is, man, he's getting up there in age where, if he keep getting hit like this, man, no quarterback, can continue to take punishments like this. You look at Tom Brady, look at Aaron Rodgers right now. He's not playing like the Aaron Rodgers of old because he's taking too many damn hits. The offensive line is absolutely horrible. And they end up finding Mike McCarthy. All right, so, do not, don't, I would expect to see Gary Kubiak back at, to be at least one of those guys that the Falcons go at least talk to in the offseason. Because you have to make some move offensive coordinator at this point because it's absolutely atrocious, man. But Debo, man, I was impressed by him. Debo is Debo. Deion Jones he was rusty. You can tell he was rusty, but he made some plays here and there where he takes those angles, and only a guy like Deion Jones with his speed he can get to. And Foye Olukun, Duke Riley, Campbell, those guys played much better with Deion Jones on the field. He takes so much. I mean, he gives these guys so much. It's like having a Kobe Bryant and a Michael Jordan on the court. Well, these guys on the court, all right, all you have to do is just focus on doing your job, all right? Play defense, pass them the ball, whatever. You just have to do your job and let Deion Jones do what he does best. Call the plays, run players down. I think he was a little rusty in pass coverage, but as far as running, tackling, getting after the ball carrier, seeing things, his instincts and whatnot, he was, the Deion Jones of old. But I thought he was a little bit rusty in pass coverage, and that just comes in time, man. I expect Deion Jones to be Deion Jones as the season go on, man. The defensive line, I was impressed. It was, oh my gosh. You have to be impressed with Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett is just a fucking animal, man. Grady Jarrett is going to get paid. All right, there's no mistake about it. Grady Jarrett is going to get his fucking money, man. That guy is a fucking beast. You get a guy like a Christian Wilkins that goes aside him, maybe Ed Oliver at some point. Jeffrey Simmons. I forget the kid. Derek Brown, I believe his name is. Brown. I like Brown. It's a number of defensive tackles that I like in this draft, man. You get a guy that can go alongside Grady Jarrett, whether it's in pass coverage, but Christian Wilkins is a guy that I have my eye on coming on in the draft. I wouldn't take him top 5, but I would take him in the range of 10 and 15. Trade Alford, trade Vic. Alford would definitely be gone. I don't know at this point. It doesn't make sense for Vic Beasley at the price that he's asking for. $12 million for a guy that is pretty much a pass rush specialist. I don't think the Falcons would do that, but it is what it is. We don't know, man. True Font. It's True Font. He's playing much, much better. The guy opposite of him, Robert Alford, is just absolute trash, garbage, and I do not expect him to be back, man. I expect Richards to be back. In fact, I know he will be back. They traded him for a 5th-round pick, so Richards definitely will be back. Dan Quinn will definitely be back. All right, we can just stop saying that. Steve Sarkeesian is a guy I do not expect back, but Vic Beasley is not worth the money, because he's yet to have a double-digit sack from that equal 2016 when he was a sack leader. So the Falcons are in desperate need of a guy that can stop the run, maybe a Lawrence from Clemson, Wilkins and Lawrence from Clemson, those guys that can be that guy alongside Grady Jarrett. But man, the Falcons are in desperate need of just a change. I mean, not too many changes, but they really have to address the scheme of offensive linemen and defensive linemen, because they're losing the battle in the trenches. They have tremendous players outside of the trenches, but if you can't win, if you're getting bullied in the trenches, well, you're going to lose, all right? And you're going to lose and you're going to be embarrassed like they've been embarrassed this year, man. But Olakun is a guy that I like. Deion Jones, those guys will definitely be something to see in the future. But guys, I'm gotta be out here. I'm gonna be out of here, man. Again, man, I want to thank everybody for. Helping me get to a 1K, man. Finally got to 1K today. Again, guys, I will be on Dan's show, Unintentional Grounding, tonight, 8 o'clock, all right? Do not miss this. We will do a full recap of the Ravens-Falcons game. Again, I thank everybody for helping your boy, man, Mike get to 1,000, all right? Want to get to 2K. I'm shooting for 3,000 at the end of next year, 2019. I'm shooting for 3,000. Again, man, I appreciate everybody, man, for tuning in to this live. Again, I will be on Dan's show, Unintentional Grinding. We'll do a Falcons Ravens recap. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. This shit, we're going to be raw. We're going to be straight to the point. No sugarcoating. Cause Dan and I, you already know how he is. Mad Mike, he don't hold back any punches. And tonight will be a show for Atlanta Falcons fans. All right? I promise you that. So, all right? If you guys have not subscribed to that channel, anyone is still in this live chat right now, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, my channel, and Unintentional Grounding, trust me, all right, we're going to give it to you real and raw. And I promise you that, guys. All right? Your boy, Mad Mike, is out, man. Appreciate everybody for helping me get to 1K. And I'm gone, baby. Peace.